Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the episode. I am starting this new series that is going to run every so often, and it is the Best of series. So these are the most popular episodes that have aired on the podcast, and I want to feature them because as this podcast has grown and grown and grown since I started it back in 2021, there are some juicy, delicious, valuable episodes that I really want some of the newer listeners as well as older listeners to listen or re-listen to. So whenever you see the best of in front of the title on the episodes, just know that this is a previous episode that has already aired. And I actually really like listening to best of episodes from other podcasts as well. They sometimes they come in the best moments when I need to hear them and be reminded. And just know that these are some of the best episodes that have been released on the podcast. So I'm really excited for you to listen in, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. As always, feel free to message me on Instagram, ask me questions or episode requests, and I always love hearing from you all. So thank you so much for being a part of this podcast, and I'm really excited to release the first best of episode, as well as more episodes to come. Thank you for being a part of the podcast family, and I will catch you soon. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Social Reset podcast. I am so excited that you're here. I cannot even put it into words. Even just saying the podcast name and talking into this microphone is a manifestation of mine that actualized into reality. So I am so grateful for you tuning in. Essentially, we're going to start from zero. And that's why this title and this episode is about resetting your mind, because I think that this is a really great place to start. And so the social reset definition in itself is redefining and reconstructing the way that you view social media and online marketing by applying the work of soul-led, intuition-based decisions and integrating them with a killer strategy to build a wildly successful business and life. So it isn't just strategy and execution and tapping into that masculine energy. It's matching it with the feminine, matching it with just being rather than just doing. It's really letting yourself lead and really tapping into your own power from within. This podcast will offer you tangible tips and tools matched with raw, honest conversations, both with guests as well as on my own, about inner healing, manifestation done the right way, soul alignment, and human design, as well as social media strategy, marketing strategies. And we're going to be talking all about mindset, money, marketing, manifestation, all of those things in order to operate from a place that truly lights you up, not just in your business as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or even if you aren't one, but also just in your life in general. So today we're going to start with your mindset and really talking about what that means and how to create a mindset that operates from a place of alignment for you specifically. Many people focus on their mindset and put so much focus on their mind, but the mind still needs direction. Our soul is where we want to tap into, and it feeds into the mind. Our mind can be trained, and those thoughts that you train, that you reframe, those then create your reality. And your reality comes into life. It shapes your life and it shapes the life of everyone around you. And keep this in mind. When something is in alignment for you, it is in alignment for everyone around you. I'm going to repeat that because I needed to hear it a second time when I first heard it. When something is in alignment for you, it is then in alignment for everybody around you. Something cannot just be in alignment for you specifically. And that isn't always so easy to hear, especially if you need to set a boundary and someone doesn't exactly understand why you're setting this boundary or where this is coming from. They might feel offended or hurt or triggered. But in the long run, if that is completely solely in alignment with you, then eventually, even if they don't come to that realization that same night or that same moment, they're going to realize that that was actually for their higher purpose, that something didn't actualize, something didn't come into reality either at that time or at all because it wasn't in alignment. And once I recognized this in my life and my business, oh my goodness, everything changed. I started taking things in my life instead of just constantly thinking, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why am I stuck in this situation? Why am I constantly going through this? It was life trying to tell me that things were happening for me and not to me. And that was a really big lesson for me to learn, especially going through toxic relationships, just abusive relationships in general, or unhealthy friendships, or even with family members. This was something that I had to realize and really tap into in order to become the best version of myself. And I'm sharing this with you too because the universe is going to teach us the same lesson over and over and over until we finally grasp what it's trying to tell us. So, if something's in alignment for you, it has to be in alignment for everyone around you. And with that same token, question everything around you. Your life, the quality of your life, is determined by the questions that you ask. So, what does that mean? Question everything around you. What if you woke up and there were no rules? Every single thing you've been told or that you follow is just a structure created by somebody else. You are operating in the physical realm, and we've given names, phrases, definitions to certain things that we see in this physical realm. But there's also so much that's happening around you that you cannot see. I see so many entrepreneurs and business owners looking around first to see, does someone else do it this way that I'm doing it? Or has someone else gone ahead to first create this? Is this okay? Is this the right way to do things? Am I doing it correctly? There are so many people looking around first to validate their strategy or their course idea or their business idea or the way that they're presenting themselves or the offer that they're putting on the table for their audience. And to that, I want to respectfully say, fuck asking for permission. Tap into who you were meant to be. Even if that's a road that has not been discovered before, it just means that you are the one that's meant to pioneer this space. And I always tell this to my clients, if you have a business idea and you're holding it back, you are preventing somebody else from tapping into success that's meant for them. If you're holding a business idea back, you are prohibiting somebody else from reaching success. We all come into owning our own business or being a brand owner or being an entrepreneur because we're offering a solution to somebody else, whether that's a done-for-you service, a self-paced online course, a coaching program where you're meeting once a week. These are all business ideas that provide a solution to your ideal aligned client. And without your solution, they will continue to suffer. They will continue to suffer. And so once you step into that, once you step into and truly embody that for yourself, you no longer struggle with quote unquote sounding salesy or feeling hesitant to talk about your offer because you know that this is something somebody else needs. Think about the invention of a bed or the shower or a home, or your cell phone or water bottles or this microphone that I'm speaking into, right? Or Wi-Fi. A simple idea that somebody took action on and actualized provided solutions for people all around the world. So if you are holding something back, make it more about the people that you are going to serve and the reason why you brought this to life, or you are choosing to bring this to life in the first place, rather than making it about yourself. And another thing I want to mention about that is we get so stuck on that timeline, right? We want things to happen right away. We're living in this microwave generation where even the microwave is just way too slow for us. We've got DoorDash, we have food delivered, Uber, all of these things that happen within minutes. But at the end of the day, time is simply an illusion. We get so hung up on things like New Year's resolutions and really overestimate what can be done in 1 year's time. We get so stuck in that 1 year, and we underestimate what can be done in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. And when it comes to manifestation, you must simply release and just live as if. We don't know how something is going to actualize. We don't know how it's going to come into reality. If we knew, we would all be living our dream lives. We would all be, living in the way that we were meant to, right? If it was that simple, we would all do it. But if you tap into who you're meant to be and start living as if your biggest dreams have already actualized into reality, then how would you show up? Then what would you do? Then what would you say? The hardest thing about manifestation sometimes is being able to let go and not knowing the how, completely releasing the how. If you're not where you want to be, do not give up. You are tapping into your destiny. If you can dream it, you are destined for it. Release the how, live as if, and that's exactly where you're meant to be. You're on the right path. So I want to share with you my 3 A's framework for manifestation hacking. It is align, act, and then actualize. But first, let me show you and break down the mistakes that entrepreneurs make. A lot of them act backwards, so essentially the opposite. They do the actualize, act, and then align. So they want to wait until something's actualized first. They want to wait until the money has actualized. They want to wait until the resources, the environment, once I have the money, once I'm married, once I have kids, once I'm in a more stable place, or once I move, then I can take action. Then I can align with who I need to be. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because then we're always waiting on some sort of external circumstance or resource or person or environmental shift before we can actually be and attract and align with who we are and what we want. If we're acting as if someone else is holding the strings and manipulating the strings to our life, then we're not actually living as if the leaders of our own lives. We're constantly waiting for somebody else rather than taking action, taking charge, and taking responsibility. So let me break down my 3 A's framework, which is align, act, and actualize, and why this is so important. So the first thing you're going to want to identify is what you're actualizing. Actualizing literally means make into reality. So you first want to identify what that goal looks like, what it feels like when you get it, visualizing it, writing it down in present tense. You want to identify what you want to actualize, okay? And this is really important. Then you need to decide how you need to align with your soul avatar. How do you step into your highest self? And what does that version of you that already has everything that you want look like? So you really need to identify that aligned version of yourself. Who do you need to be? This goes back to what I was just sharing in terms of living as if. Aligning with this highest version of yourself is living as if. And now that you're living as if, you're able to take action. So this is where act comes into play. You're taking inspired action. So now that you are aligned with that highest version of yourself that already has what you're actualizing, what does this version of you act like? What does she think like? What are some things that she does? What does she invest in? If you're actualizing 6 figures in your business, what does this aligned version of yourself invest in? Is she shying away from a 2K program because that's just completely outside of circumstance and really focusing on those limited possibilities within circumstance? Or is she acting as if she is already that 6-figure business owner, that 6-figure leader and entrepreneur? And she invests that 2K because this is a program that is 100% in alignment with what she's looking for and is setting the intention that that 2K is going to come back tenfold and is going to help her reach that 6-figure mark. Also asking yourself, what does this version of you surround herself with? Who does she surround herself with? And also, who doesn't she surround herself with? What are certain characteristics of people that she does not come in contact with or allow into her inner circle? What are some things that she doesn't decide to do? What are some things that she doesn't say? Setting boundaries and being really clear with who you're sharing your energy with and how you're protecting your energy is also going to be really important. So not just what you want to do, but what you want to decide not to do are things that you want to identify in this act portion of align, act, and actualize. So here comes the last portion, which is actualizing. It's manifesting it into reality. So now you've identified what you want, who you want to be, which is align. You're taking action towards it, which is act. Then you actualize your desire into reality. And this is where you completely let go of the how. Every single thing you see around you is a manifestation. Somebody visualized a touchscreen phone that allows you to send text messages, download apps. Someone had to visualize this and then take action to create it and bring it to life. Someone had to visualize your home and then they built it, or they hired a team of builders to build it and actualize it into reality. Every single thing in this universe, every single thing that is around you that you're using, touching, buying, those were all manifestations at one point. And your biggest dreams are only going to be manifestations for so long until they become reality. But if you do not align with who you need to be, take action towards what you want to have, and then actualize it, it's always going to be just that, a dream. And this is the reason why manifestation doesn't work for some people. They sit around and they write out their goals, they write out their dreams, but they never take action towards it. We could dream all day about hitting 6 figures and hitting really big goals in our business, booking 10 new clients, creating a sold out program. These are all things we can do. Anyone can do that. Anyone can set really big goals for themselves. But if we never post about our program, jump on clarity calls with ideal clients, create the modules for the course that you want to be sold out, then it's never going to work. Those things aren't going to manifest on their own. We do have to take action, the right action towards it. So let's also talk about beliefs around money and around business, because these are also going to really help us identify what we need to release in terms of limiting beliefs, as well as help with manifesting our goals into reality. So let's talk about money first. What are some things that your parents said around money while you were growing up that you subconsciously held on to? This is going to be important because a lot of this was not directly taught to us. It was something that we picked up when we went to the grocery store and we heard our parents say over and over again, we can't afford this. I can't afford this. I don't have enough money. We are broke. Or things around the dinner table surrounding bills. Things like money doesn't grow on trees, or money is really hard to come by, but it's really easy to spend. Or you need to understand the value of a dollar. Or we're just not the type of family that, invests in things like that. Or we're not the type of family that gets luxury products. For me, I grew up with two immigrant parents. My parents both immigrated from Hong Kong. And my dad, he didn't even have enough money to buy himself a bike. And so he walked miles to school, to his college. From there, he taught himself English and he did climb the corporate ladder. He did have to face a lot of discrimination and racism climbing up the corporate ladder. But he did it and he worked really hard. And for me, watching him work really hard taught me a lot of amazing things. But as a young kid, it also taught me that I had to work really hard in order to have the business of my dreams. I thought that in order to be successful, I had to work really long hours and that I wouldn't be able to spend time with my daughter and just different things like that I was taught subconsciously. And as I became a business owner, I had to release and take on things to replace that. And so now, as a business owner, I give myself the grace and I give myself breaks and I give myself the ability to take care of myself and know that my business will grow. And my dad and I have had amazing conversations about self-care, about taking a step back, about resting, and about mindset, as so many things have shifted from when I was a young child and taking things in subconsciously. But as an adult, because there are so many things that we take in subconsciously and that our subconscious mind absorbs, it is up to us and it is our responsibility to reframe that in a way that continues to serve us rather than not serving us. And that's the same thing with business. And so things around money, around what you believe about business, around what people have told you or experiences that you've been exposed to, it's really easy to take on those experiences and think that's the only way that we are able to go about business. That's the only way that we can make money is if we work extremely hard and if we push ourselves and overstretch ourselves and, push ourselves to the point of experiencing vertigo or dizziness or tiredness and not being able to spend time with friends or family or take vacations. For me, one of the biggest affirmations when I first started my business was that business gets to be fun. I get to enjoy building my business. I get to wake up and create my own schedule, and I get to love it. I get to attract high-ticket clients with ease. I get to hit six figures in my business effortlessly. And guess what? I did all of those things. But it all started with identifying some of those limiting beliefs that I had held on to and reframing them. I still remember, and I still have this Post-it note that I wrote within, I think it was the first or the second month in my business, very early on. I wrote out $100,000 on a Post-it note. I also wrote out dive head first into your biggest fears. And it really reminded me to step outside of my comfort zone. And because I saw it every single day, it helped me to align, act, and actualize. It helped me to show up as the Tiffany that already had six figures in her business. And so that helped me determine what I needed to invest in, making big, scary investments in my business, more money than I had ever spent in my entire life, setting the intention that it was going to come back to me tenfold. And it did. It 100% did. It allowed me to act and live in this place where I already had six figures. And now that I do, I'm able to level up to that next level that's waiting for me. And being able to really identify what next steps I need to take in order to ascend to that next highest level for myself as an entrepreneur. But I never would have gotten here if I didn't live my life as if. And that's why it's so important. So being able to break down and deconstruct some of those beliefs, those limiting beliefs, the things that you've been told and that you've been taught growing up that no longer serve you, give yourself permission to let those go. They're no longer serving you, and they do not need to take up mental real estate in your brain any longer. What I did was I wrote out all of the things that I had been told about money growing up, or that I had just taken on from TV shows or conversations or things that teachers or professors or different people in my life had told me over time. I wrote them all out. And then on the same paper, I wrote out how I was going to, from now on, think about money and reframe how I was going to approach business and making money on my terms. And because I reframed those thoughts in my brain, it then bled into my reality. It then actualized. And so when I hit six figures, when I attracted my first four-figure client and then multi-four-figure clients, I already knew this was bound to happen. It was almost like yep, I knew it. And I'm able to attract it. And I can attract it with ease. And that's the power of tapping into what is aligned for you, letting your soul lead, and then taking that action in order to see it come into fruition in your life. So I want to ask you, what are limiting beliefs that no longer serve you in your life, in your business? What are some things that you've internalized from childhood, or a recurring fear that you have that comes up? It might be some things that are coming up for you right now in your mind. And I get that this process can be really scary and intimidating, but I promise you, the more that you give your emotions space to just be acknowledged and just to help you identify that they're there, the more you'll be able to tackle it head on versus not addressing it and having it come out later in a random scenario where something goes wrong and then you're having a full-on breakdown, or you don't understand where these emotions are coming from, and it's because you didn't deal with them head on. And so identifying where these emotions are coming up are really going to help you identify why you can't hit that next level in your business, why you can't hit that next revenue level as you're potentially leveling up, but it's your mind or it's yourself that's standing in the way. Let me know if this podcast spoke to you. Let me know if this episode resonated with you in some way. This is just the beginning of a multitude of episodes that are going to help you reframe the way that you view business, the way that you operate in your life, and the way that you manifest. I cannot wait to watch you manifest every single thing you want in your life. If this episode touched you in some way, please tag me on Instagram and post it to your stories at tiffanychung.co so I can share the love. Thank you so much for tuning into this very first episode of the Social Reset podcast. I cannot wait to share so many more episodes with you, and I will catch you in the next one. See you soon.